Hey everybody, let we talk in this video how we could do implement for job service. So first of all, what do you mean by job service? Job service means you have a specific job and you want this job to run in a specific time. So what you do is you just register this service in the system, and whenever that time is come, the system will send this job and ask any application who have this job to run it. So your application, if you are schedule this job for your application will get the job and he will run this job, and that is. So this is basically how job scheduler works. So and you have to make sure job scheduler work in Android lollipops and after. So it will not work in the previous version before lollipops. So to get started with it, just start a new project here and I name it job service Udemy. I try to make sure I did an Android Studio project, then click next. Very basic application, doesn't have too many things. So let's get started with job service. First of all, because we are working with the job service, you have to make sure from, let me make sure from my screen first before making sure from anything. I know this is something in new Android preview. Maybe you're not using Android preview, you are using the stable version, but yeah, we still make sure just make it equal to the screen size, hopefully. Okay. Oh, sorry. Take it this way. Up. Yes, screen size. Here you go. Now I have it. I have Android Studio in my screen size. Now I want to get started. First of all, when you want to work with job scheduler, first of all you need to define your job class. So go to src, go to main, Java, and here click right and define your schedule job. So here I define my class. I will name it my job service. Okay, and click save. So I create this class. Because we are working with the job service, we need to extend specific class, name it job service. Okay, this class is part from Android OS system. So just click right. He asks you to implement something. He need two methods to be implemented. Here you go. This is two method. This method will automatically fire up whenever anyone start the job. Who start the job? As I told you, the system. So when your system fire up event or your system send the job to be start, this service will get that job and start run it. When it done, he call it. So how your application or how this service will be able to read the system event, you have to define a specific thing in main phase. So you have to go in main phase here, you define in the application tag, you define service and name it, this is job service C. Then go down and hopefully close it. Not only this one, you have to define another tag for your job service to be, and you need to specific permission. Say Android permission. We are asking to specific permission, and this permission I will just copy it from GitHub. You will find it in the GitHub already, this name and the job service file name. So this is Android permission bind job service. This one will allow your application to access to system service event. So now let me go to the process. There is a job fired in the system and the system will send that job. If this job is coming to your application, the system will now, because your application already in main phase registered, he will able to listen to that service through this line. So this one is getting permission. Your application will get that permission and he will move to this file. When you go to this file, he start firing that event here. So what you want to do? Let me think. I don't want to do too many process. Let me just write log dot just messaging dot I will open a specific tag. I will say whatever job, then I say job is started successfully. Hopefully I'm sure I'm writing the spelling not correct, but CG, if I write it again, just add this line. So just starting the job, you say, hey, this job is started. You could write codes as much as you could here, as many, whatever you want to write down, right here. For example, accessing to the HTTP and getting data or whatever. But what you will return, if you return false, that means, hey, you're telling the operating system, hey, you are done. And this job is done and you don't need to use anything else. If you write it true, that means you tell the system, hey, I still want this service to working, and still make it using main thread. If there is anything using in background, operating system try to kick it out and make your service working. You use it true whenever you have HTTP request and you will wait for specific time to get the data. But if you don't have something waiting for you done, just write false and that you done. Same thing for on stop. When you're done, you just say, hey, I'm stopping. You say job service is stopped successfully and you're done. So this is what you do on start and this is what you do when you stop. But wait a second. Do we done? No, because when you now this service, when it's getting the job, he will fire it. For example, here we just printing this line. I want just to print this line. Then he will return the system. But the system still did not know you are done. Because this one doesn't tell the system, hey, the job is done. He just say, hey, I'm no longer need to use the resource. So we have to tell the system, hey, we are done. Otherwise, the system is still keeping a space for us. So you say, okay, here you say job service finish. You say job finish it. Okay. When you say job finished, you give it two parameters. The first parameter means the job ID. Which job you call? The same job that's coming as input. So added here. Then the second parameter, that is mean what you do you want to repeat this one? That's mean you say, do you want, if you just click here, just see it. He said, he give you in the hint boolean, need reschedule. That's mean, do you need to reschedule this job? You say, if you don't want to reschedule, you say false. If you want to reschedule it, you say true. So when we say true and when we say false, think about you are calling HTTP, okay? And the calls fail for some reason. So you have, for example, something boolean for is fail, okay? You're getting the result. So if it's fail, it will be true. Let me suppose this thing is getting from HTTP. So if he wasn't able to get the data from HTTP, this one should be true. Okay? So if it is true, you just say, hey, this need to schedule, yes. Is fail, yes. So now think about it. Think about he came here, he went there, this line, he go to the HTTP and he wasn't able to get the data from HTTP. So here on this point, you are not done. You still need to do something. You need to repeat the job. So what you will do, this one will be false. You're sending back to the system, hey, I'm not done. My job is failed. The system will reschedule the job because you give it a true. He will rerun the job again. But for us, we don't have to run the job because we're done already. So you say, hey, true, I'm done. Now we're done. On the server side or on the listening side, we're done. But now one thing missing, we need to reschedule the job. So let me just reschedule the job from here. So how you would able to reschedule any job in the system? First of all, let me define the job ID. Integer job ID. Give it 0 because every time you need to schedule a job, it have to have specific ID. So now I want to schedule the job to be running. I want to say, hey system, I need this job to run in 10:30. So when 10:30 came, the system will send this job and my service will read this job and run it. So how I do? First of all, I need to build my job. So just I say, hey, job info dot build. I'm just building. Then I say build. Define variable from job info. Equal. This take two parameter. So a new job info dot build, and if you see it take two parameter. The first parameter is job ID. As you see here, we define the job ID. The second parameter is the component. So just we could say new component name, and we give it the name. This take two parameter. First parameter this. That means this activity. The second parameter, the service that we want to schedule it. What's the name of the service? This is the service. So you say this service dot class. You're just telling the system, hey, I want to schedule this job. So first of all, I want to build my job. I say, hey, I want to build this job. I want to give it this ID, and this job, when I run it, it will call this service. So when I register this one in the system will now when the job times come, he will call this service, which is this one. So now I'm building the job, but there is a specific parameter I could give it to this job. For example, first of all, I send latency or send minimum latency, like how long time I have to wait until the job to be run. Let me suppose the job will run after 1 second. Okay, this is, I give it in millisecond, so 1000 to 1 second. Then I say dot set override deadline, like how much time I have to wait maximum to before like before the deadline is done. We use this line whenever we have error to be when we have some error to run the job. So we will wait for a specific time. Then he say, hey, error, I cannot. So we wait for 2 seconds. If it's failed, hey, he will give us, you are done. So now I'm building the job and I have all the information for my job and just want to send this job to the system so the system could run this job. How I could send it to the system? Just I define job scheduler. Then I say, okay, job scheduler, or call. For sure, I'm defining job scheduler. Then this job scheduler will get system service. I'm accessing to specific system service. Make sure to add it in 2 line. And what the type of the service that I want to access to it? Context dot job schedule service. So here you say, hey, I want to access the specific service in the system, name it job service, and I want to schedule this job. Okay. Then you say, hey, job service dot, what you say, dot schedule, hopefully schedule. Then you give it your job. Very, very basic thing. So not this job, this is my job. So let me think about how, let me track it, how this one will work. Make sure dot bold after it. So first of all, you say, hey, I have a job. This is my job. I want this job will run after 1 second. If there is any error, wait for 2 seconds, then give me the error. And when this job run, I wanted to call this service. Okay? Then you complete your job. This is job info. Then you want to send this job to the system. Here you send it. Here you send the job to system. Here you define system service, job service, and you send it. Now, when you run the application, this service will go to the system and it will be saving inside the system. After 1 second, the system will send the job. How he will now, according to this package, he will now for which application send it. So your application already registered, this one will receive this event, he will receive it, then he will run this job for you. So if you just try to run it, I already have application running, so and you try to see the log cat debug, and make sure here write just word job in the search, here in the search write job, then make sure here change it to the not filter, hopefully I could get it. See, I got it. Job services started. He started after 1 second. But this is not only done. We have too many things we could do it with the service. So how, before we go, what we did, first of all, we send the job when the application run, he sent the job to the system. The system wait for 1 second. The system sent the job. Your application received this job through the main phase, and he sent it to this service, and the service run that job. And when you're done, he called the system, I'm done. There is many parameters you could send it to the bold job. For example, you say, okay, I want this job to be run like every 2 seconds. You say you say set periodically 2 seconds. This job will be fired up every 2 seconds. You want to do too many things. You want bolder dot, you say it is, for example, set periodicity. This one you give your application permission to access to start with OS. So make sure if you add this line, you go to the Android main phase, and here you add some permissions, like use permission. You ask complete boot, I think. Boot, I think. The word for booting. Receive boot complete. This one you have to add it. That means you need your service to run with the OS. Maybe you don't want your service to work all the time. You want your service only working on when the application is when the phone is idle. So you say, okay, set require device idle true. That means, hey, you want your service only running when the device is idle. So if the user using the application and explore application, your service will not run. Only when the device go to idle, your service will run. This is very helpful to make the device fast always, so he could explore normally without any delay. Then when the application go to sleep mode, you could start working. Also, you make your service working only when the device is charging. If you need something to use battery a lot, you say, okay, set require device charging. So it will work only when the device is charging. Also, you could define many things, like you say, okay, define set require network. You mean, hey, this application require network to run. So for example, you say require network. Is this one? No, this is not require network. Dot set require network type. You say, hey, this application will require specific network type. You give it job info dope network unlimited. There is different type of the network type you could define here. See, there's too many. So the idea here, think about you don't need your service to run if there is no internet. You define here the rule. So if there is no internet, your service will not run. And also make sure if you want to use network, you have to go to main face and say, hey, I need permissions to use network. So you say access network state. Is that right? Access network state, because you need to access new network. So this is very helpful when you don't want your service to run if there is no network, for example, or whatever. So this is basically what you have to know. All this cannot work together. So you cannot set periodically at the same time you have latency. So make sure to go to the SDK and read everything. So yes, this is the thing that we have it in this video, and that's what I want to share with you. Go to the documentation and start to now to learn. Like I could use this one. I cannot use this both with together. I use this one with this one and whatever. And we're done, and thank you for watching.